The mining station Horizon Outpost hung in the darkness between two silent stars. It wasn't a place most people chose to live. The station existed for one purpose: extracting rare minerals from the drifting asteroid fields that surrounded it. Massive mechanical arms reached into space like metal skeletons, pulling rocks into the processing chambers where they were melted down and refined. The work was dangerous. The pay was decent, and the people who came here were usually running from something. Ethan Drake was one of those people. He had arrived at Horizon Outpost nearly 3 years earlier, looking for quiet work far away from Earth's crowded cities and complicated politics. As a mechanical technician, his job was simple: keep the station running, fix broken systems, repair damaged drones, make sure nothing exploded. It wasn't glamorous, but Ethan liked it that way. Machines were easier to understand than people. But everything changed the day the alien transport arrived. The unexpected passenger. Alien ships weren't unusual in this part of space. Horizon Outpost sat on the edge of several trade routes, and merchants from dozens of different species passed through regularly. But this ship was different. It was small, old, and badly damaged. The transport drifted into the station's docking ring with barely enough power to stabilize itself. Emergency crews rushed to secure it. Ethan had been halfway through repairing a malfunctioning cargo drone when the station alarm sounded. Unidentified vessel requesting emergency docking. The announcement echoed through the corridors. He wiped the grease from his hands and sighed. Guess something else broke. By the time he reached the docking bay, a crowd had gathered. Station guards, medics, curious workers. The airlock door slowly opened with a loud hiss, and out stepped the strangest passenger Ethan had ever seen. She looked almost human. Almost. Her skin shimmered faintly under the harsh lights of the docking bay, reflecting a soft silver glow. Long strands of pale blue hair flowed down her back like liquid starlight, and her eyes were a bright violet that seemed to catch every flicker of movement around her. She was clearly exhausted. Her clothes were torn, and she looked terrified. The station guards raised their weapons cautiously. "Identify yourself," one of them demanded. The girl hesitated. Her voice was soft. "My name is Lyra." "And your species?" She looked confused. "I don't know what you call us." That answer made the guards exchange uneasy glances. Then one of them noticed something. "What's that on her arm?" Everyone looked closer. Around Lyra's wrist was a thin metallic band glowing faintly with strange symbols. Ethan frowned. "That's not jewelry." "What is it?" one of the guards asked. He stepped forward slowly. "A tracking device." Lyra's eyes widened. She clutched her arm instinctively. "They're coming," she whispered. "Who?" the guard asked. Lyra didn't answer. Instead, she looked directly at Ethan. "Please don't send me back." The girl who didn't belong. Later that evening, Ethan found Lyra sitting alone in the station cafeteria. Most workers had already returned to their shifts, leaving the room mostly empty. She sat at a table near the window, staring out at the endless field of drifting asteroids. A half-eaten meal sat in front of her. Ethan grabbed a cup of coffee and walked over. "Mind if I sit?" She looked up nervously. "Are you a guard?" "Nope." "A doctor?" "Also no." "Then what are you?" Ethan smiled slightly. "A mechanic." She tilted her head. "You fix machines?" "Pretty much." Lyra seemed to relax a little. "Machines are easier than people." Ethan laughed. "You figured that out already?" She nodded. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Ethan noticed she hadn't touched most of the food. "You don't like station rations?" "They taste strange." "Everything tastes strange the first time." She picked up a small piece of bread cautiously. "You're not afraid of me." Ethan shrugged. "I've seen weirder things on this station." Lyra studied his face carefully. "You're lying." About what? You're curious. Fair point. She took another bite. Humans are interesting. Oh, you speak casually even when you don't know what you're dealing with. That's our survival strategy. Lyra smiled faintly. For the first time since arriving, she looked a little less afraid. After finishing her meal, she pushed the tray aside. Ethan stood up. Well, I should get back to work. She looked up at him. You helped me. I just showed you where the cafeteria was. That still counts. Ethan waved casually. No problem. Then, almost without thinking, he added the phrase he had used 1,000 times in his life. Thanks, love. The word that stopped time. Lyra froze. Completely. Her violet eyes widened as if Ethan had just spoken a language she'd never heard before. He blinked. Did I say something wrong? She slowly stood up. What did you call me? Ethan rubbed the back of his neck. Oh. Love. She stared at him. You said it very casually. Yeah, it's kind of a human expression. Her voice dropped to a whisper. You thanked me with affection. Well, not exactly. But the word means affection. Sort of. Lyra looked deeply confused. Why would you use such a word for someone you barely know? Ethan shrugged. Humans do that sometimes. She took a step closer. In my culture, that word is sacred. Ethan blinked. Sacred? It is never spoken lightly. Well, that explains the reaction. Lyra studied him carefully. You truly meant it casually? Yeah. Then humans must have a very different relationship with emotions. Ethan chuckled. That's one way to put it. For several seconds, she simply stared at him. Then she asked a quiet question. Do humans say it often? All the time. Lyra's expression softened slightly. That is beautiful. The truth about Lyra. Over the next few days, Ethan and Lyra talked frequently. He learned many things about her. Her species came from a distant region of the galaxy, a civilization older than humanity. But something had gone wrong. A faction within her people believed emotions were dangerous, unstable. They had created a society where feelings were tightly controlled. Words like love, friendship, and kindness were rarely spoken. Lyra had grown up in that world. But you left, Ethan said. She nodded. I wanted to see how other species lived. So you ran away? Yes. That explains the tracking device. Lyra touched the glowing band on her wrist. They consider me a defect. Because you're curious? Because I feel too much. Ethan leaned back in his chair. That sounds like a pretty good reason to leave. She smiled sadly. They will come for me, eventually. And when they do, they will erase my memories. The room went quiet. Ethan didn't like the sound of that. The hunters arrive. 3 days later, Lyra's fear became reality. A massive alien ship appeared outside Horizon Outpost. It was unlike any vessel the station had seen before. Sleek, silent, and terrifyingly advanced. The station commander called an emergency meeting. They're requesting one thing, he said. Lyra. The workers exchanged nervous looks. Ethan stood up. What happens if we refuse? The commander sighed. They have enough firepower to turn this station into dust. Lyra sat quietly at the edge of the room. She looked strangely calm. It's all right, she said softly. No, it's not, Ethan replied. She looked at him. This was always going to happen. But they'll erase you. She nodded. That is their way. Ethan clenched his fists. He hated that answer. The unexpected plan. Later that night, Ethan sat alone in the maintenance bay. He stared at the glowing tracking band on Lyra's wrist. Then he smiled slowly. Maybe machines really are easier than people. Lyra looked at him. What are you thinking? That tracker? Yes. It's just a signal transmitter. And And I fix things. Her eyes widened slightly. You're going to remove it? Not exactly. He grabbed a small toolkit. I'm going to confuse it. The final confrontation. The next morning, the alien delegation arrived. Tall figures in silver armor stepped into the station command room. Their leader spoke coldly. Return the girl. Lyra stepped forward. I am here. The alien leader raised a device. The tracking signal blinked rapidly. Then, it split. 5 identical signals appeared across the station. The alien leader frowned. That is impossible. Ethan leaned against the wall casually. Looks like your tech's a little confused. The leader glared at him. What did you do? Ethan smiled. Just gave it some company. Lyra looked at him in disbelief. You duplicated the signal.
Yep.
The alien soldiers looked uncertain. Without a clear signal, they couldn't identify the real Lyra. The leader turned back toward her. You will come with us. Lyra looked at Ethan. Then she said something surprising.
No.
The alien leader's eyes narrowed. You defy your own people? Lyra stood tall. I choose my own life. The decision. The alien leader studied her for a long moment. Then he looked at Ethan. You corrupted her. Ethan shrugged. Pretty sure she did that herself. The leader sighed. Then he did something unexpected. Very well. Everyone froze. If she wishes to live among humans, she may. Lyra blinked. You will allow it? Yes. The leader looked at Ethan again. But know this, human. What? You have introduced a dangerous concept into our civilization. Ethan raised an eyebrow. What concept? The alien leader spoke one final word before leaving. Love.
Epilogue.
Months later, Lyra still lived on Horizon Outpost. She worked beside Ethan in the maintenance bay, learning, exploring, experiencing emotions freely for the first time in her life. One evening, after a long day of repairs, she handed Ethan a tool. He smiled. Thanks, love. This time, she didn't freeze. Instead, she smiled back. And somewhere far across the galaxy, an entire civilization quietly began reconsidering the meaning of a single human word.